there are bearing a cost that protects other people. I mean, they should be rewarded for doing this, but I assume the newspaper's doing it because it thinks that there's going to be some stigma and they can go and embarrass the people who are doing this good citizen's duty out there. And, as we say, ironically, they end up actually being much more likely to go and harm the people that don't own the guns.
Let's go to Tacoma, Washington now, west of the Rockies. Mike, you're on with John Lott.
Yeah, hello, George. How are you, buddy?
Good.
All right. First off, you guys made a statement about there wasn't enough ammo or guns that you could get a hold of.
Shortage of ammo, yes.
No, that's furthest from the truth. That's a false statement because I know I can go anywhere I want now and I can get any kind of ammo or any kind of guns to certain people. That's a falsehood statement.
You mean to stores?
I can get them anywhere.
Man, it took me 3 weeks to get it, Mike.
Well, you know what? You must not be hitting the right road, George. I'm going to tell you what. The people of this country are armed to the teeth because our government has gone against us. And on top of that, the people of this country, we went to this Tea Party to show them exactly where we stand. And I think you guys better wake up over there and see what's really going on. Our government has turned against us. And the people are fed up with it, and we are armed to the teeth under the Constitution and the freedom of this country. And you better realize that right now, George.
Oh, I do. I'm a gun owner.
Well, listen. What I'm trying to say is all these statements that are being brought forth about there isn't enough. I got news for you. There'll be more people standing up saying, "I know where I can get them."
Well, but Mike, I'm saying generally, if somebody goes into a store, the store is having trouble getting ammo.
No, I know where there's a store that's got plenty of ammo and plenty of guns.
Well, just do me a favor. Do a Google search. There'll be 1,000 stories of gun owners that can't get ammo. They're not.
I know. Listen, I know right now here in Washington State where I can go.
Well, maybe you can, but what I'm trying to tell you is what about the stores that are legitimately saying they can't get it?
Well, maybe somebody's talked them out of doing it.
I mean, I know a place where they train police officers in St. Louis. It's a great place. He said this is the worst he's ever seen. He just can't. He said there's a shortage. He's on a waiting list.
I think somebody has stopped them purposely from.
Now that maybe that made it. How about
plenty of ammo, George? I'm telling you right now, plenty of ammo and guns. And the people better start standing up against this tyranny because they're trying to control you and me and every movement. I don't trust this government as far as I can throw them, brother.
Well, all right. Now, John Lott, I mean, I'm talking to places that are having trouble getting it.
Right. Well, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, I think even when they do have them, the prices are significantly higher than they were a year or two ago.
50% higher in some cases.
Right. And so, I mean, demand's gone up. I mean, you can look at...
Now, he obviously has a supplier and knows where to go.
Well, I mean, that's good. My guess is even that supplier has higher prices now than he did a year or two ago also.
Probably.
But, you know, and you can see in many different ways the number of background checks for purchasing guns has gone up about 9% over the last year. You see lots of states, the number of people who applied for concealed handgun permits. There's some states where it's gone up by 30%. And so, you know, it's kind of hard to look at these numbers and not acknowledge that there's been a significant increase in purchases and people are worried about.
Well, and also what's happening is the individual who would, let's say, buy one little box of cartridges of 100, right, he's now buying cases.
Right.
And that is contributing to the shortage as well.
No, I agree. They're just in case something may happen in the future, they want to stockpile it up now.
Let's go to Florida, east of the Rockies. Dan, it's your turn.
Yes, Mr. Noory, how you doing, sir?
Good,
I'm going to get my question immediately, but I just want to say it is an honor to speak with you. I've been a long-time fan. I listened to many shows with you guys. But as far as you go, Mr. John Lott, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yes, Mr. John Lott. I know George Noory just had, I think it was a couple of days ago, he had on Alex Jones on his show. I don't know if you know who that guy is.
This is on Columbine, or
well, Alex is a talk show host and a alternative media expert.
Okay, so it seems like you actually don't know who that guy is. Now, I've actually never heard a guy who is actually as informed about the whole gun laws and stuff like that as you, John Lott. Maybe I haven't heard enough people actually talk about the issue and things like that. But I think you are one of the most educated people I've heard talk about this issue. You've opened my eyes big time to this whole issue just tonight. And I would actually highly recommend that you go and link up with Alex Jones at Infowars.com and actually try to get on his radio show, because you can really reach, you're already reaching a pretty wide audience on this show, but on his show you can reach even more people with these real issues, because I think these are, especially right now, I think there's big-time key issues. And you, sir, know what you're talking about. I'm going to get your book. I saw it on Amazon from a private seller for like $6.
That's a deal.
It is, yeah, I know. But, I really appreciate what you guys are doing. But, again, Alex Jones, Infowars.com, I would highly recommend.
I appreciate George having me on the show tonight. It's very nice of him. And, I just hope, these are important issues, and I just hope, I like to believe that the type of information we're talking about will save lives and prevent rules and regulations which will put people at risk. So I think it's important that we talk about them.
John Lott, let's take a few more calls before the break, and then we'll come back with final phone calls with you. Wild card line in Chicago. Huck, you're up with us. Hey.
Good morning, George and John. My question is, what can we as the common Joe citizen, what can we do to change this political thought? What can we do to help ourselves and be effective at doing it?
Well, I think part of it is becoming educated yourself so that you can go and provide information to other people. When I wrote the book, The Bias Against Guns, one of the reasons why I wrote it was to go and kind of help people think through how they go and explain things to others. And in particular, what motivates concerns that people have about guns and gun control. And for most people, they see something bad that happens. They see a gun is used in the crime to commit that bad thing. And so the natural reaction is, well, if you just get rid of the gun, then bad things won't happen. What they don't see are all the good things now that won't happen in terms of people using guns defensively, how it's usually the weak and vulnerable, particularly women and the elderly, and people who are most likely to have crimes committed against them, which overwhelmingly tends to be poor blacks who live in high-crime urban areas, the most vulnerable among us, who benefit the most from having the option to be able to protect themselves with guns. And, by going and learning about those types of cases and using those to argue with people about, it's not just freedom's important, but for the vast majority of people in the middle, the ultimate question is one of safety. And I think you make more progress trying to convince other people that gun control laws are bad if you point out to them and are able to point out that these gun control laws will actually increase the number of murders.
The greatest case I've seen was Rosie O'Donnell, the comedian, screaming about guns. And then didn't she have a bodyguard who would watch her child? Wasn't that person armed?
Well, she had bodyguards for both herself and her children.
Armed?
And they were armed. You see this time after time with people. You see Mayor Daley, who won't let taxi cab drivers, when they drive in the most dangerous parts of Chicago, or the people who live in those areas, own guns for protection. And yet he has round-the-clock armed bodyguards that goes and protects them. He understands, and she understands, and others that we can point at understand the benefits of having protection.
Absolutely. John, stay with us. We're going to come right back. We'll take final phone calls with you. Well, we're worldwide. You're listening to Coast AM. I'm George Noory. John Lott, our guest for the remaining half hour here, then open lines next hour. John, you just heard Mike from Tacoma, Washington. Very passionate about this topic. I'm sure there are other people who are just as passionate who are against guns. Why? What's the psychology behind this? Why are they so uptight about this?
Well, I think it's a question of safety. I think that they constantly hear about bad things that happen with guns. They rarely ever hear about any benefits. It surprising that not more people have the feelings that they do about guns. I mean, media coverage matters a lot. And if you only hear about bad things, that's the impression that most people are going to get, particularly people who don't have any kind of firsthand experience. See it all the time. I'm sure you run into people